Hi y'all. So I have to tell you, even though I'm wearing my glasses, I can't see you because I'm actually doing this on my phone. My name is Shulamit Lazarus. Sorry, I never know how to do these things right because I'm just kind of that kind of person. So my name is Shulamit Lazarus. You may know me from my walk away video. I'm a healer. I'm clairsentient. And right now, what I'm about right now is saving the planet. So I'm trying to get information out to everyone because I noticed that that none of the conservative or non-mainstream media are talking about these things, and I'm getting articles, but it's not enough. It's not enough to get articles and share them and post them, which I do all day long. We have to go to the people who don't read. And I actually wasn't a reader before all of this anyway, because I read slowly, because I'm not visual, because I'm kinesthetic, and that's what makes me clairsentient. So, however, this is so important. I can't even stress how important this is that you get an understanding of what is going on here. And I am praying that YouTube is not going to pull me down. So I am going to do this. You see this word right here with this letter, okay? I'm going to do this sign, and then you're going to have to fill it in, okay? You're going to have to fill it in. Because the last time I tried to share something, all I did was read an article about somebody who died after, and they pulled me down. They pulled me down before I even knew it. I didn't even know I was public, and they were already pulling me down. And it wasn't until I got a note from a follower of mine telling me that they pulled me down, with a very sad face. But thankfully, I still have the video, although I didn't know how to do it well, so I was looking askance. But it doesn't really matter. The important thing is that I'm giving you information. So if you don't like the way the video came out, don't be trivial, okay? Get what I'm saying is important and share it. Share it, research it, do your due diligence, because this is the fate of the human species. And I cannot state that enough, and I'm going to back it up. So listen, and I'm going to read something to you, and then what I'm going to do, because I have a nursing background and I have a deeper understanding of these things than, let's say a carpenter or a bus driver or a taxi driver or whatever else it is that you might be, that you don't have that background. I want you to have that background. I want to break it down for you so you can understand the enormity of what we're talking about here. Okay, so people are going around getting and they don't realize the implications of it. They don't realize the possible effects of it. I've been sharing that like crazy. You can follow me on Facebook, Shulamit Lazarus on Facebook. And you'll see me and you'll see my posts and you'll know it's me. I am a light warrior. I am a freedom fighter. And I say fuck a lot because I'm angry. And it's better than Xanax. Okay, so, and sometimes I actually don't say anything because I'm so astounded at what I'm hearing that I go wordless, which is very unusual for me. Okay, so, I want you to hear this. This is by, and I'm sorry, this is a very funky thing that you're seeing here, but I've been holding this together. Or let me pull this out if it's easier. No, you know what? I'm not. I'm just going to get on with it. Okay, so here we are. So this is by Geert Vanden Bossche. Okay, Geert. That's G-E-E-R-T, Vanden, V as in Victor, A, N as in Nancy, D as in David, E, N as in Nancy, Bossche, B as in boy, O, S as in Sam, S as in Sam, C as in cat, H, and then E. Geert Vanden Bossche, whose background is as an expert virologist and designer for Bill Gates for epidemics, okay? He has just put out a 21-page letter to the World Health Organization and scientists. He's screaming in his intellectual way. I am screaming because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm emotional. He's not. But he's saying that if you don't stop, we will have a deadly situation. This is what he wrote. I am extremely concerned about the impact current COVID-19 will have when increasingly deployed in mass campaigns conducted in the heat of a pandemic. Read my global warning and scientific evidence. And I'll show it to you at the end, or maybe what I'll do is I'll actually leave it in the links, okay? And if you want to get more information, just hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'm learning that that's really important. Hit the like, not because I want to be liked, but more important because I want to get the information out to people. At this point, if you see my walk away, then you'll know who I am. Just watch my walk away and you'll know who I am. And then you can watch my healing videos and my teaching videos and so on. And if you're interested in sessions, you can contact me. But the important thing is this. Okay, so Geert Vanden Bossche, PhD, DVM, is a vaccine research expert. He has a long list of companies and organizations he's worked with on vaccine discovery and preclinical research, including GSK, Novartis, Solvay Biologicals, and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Dr. Vanden Bossche also coordinated the Ebola vaccine program at Gavi, Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. He is board certified in virology and microbiology, the author of over 30 publications, and inventor of a patent application for universal vaccines. He currently works as an independent vaccine research consultant. This man is a designer. He has a tremendous dossier of his background, and he knows what he's talking about. So really listen, pay attention, and I'm going to talk about the implications. This is what he wrote, March 6, 2021. One could only think of very few other strategies to achieve the same level of efficiency in turning a relatively harmless virus into a bioweapon of mass destruction. I'm going to say that again. I want you to really pay attention. I want you to stop what you're doing. If you're multitasking, don't do it. I want you to stop. And if you have to close your eyes, close your eyes. I want you not to be distracted. This is so incredibly important. This is beyond Biden. This is beyond Pelosi. This is beyond the stimulus. This is beyond the election. This is beyond Trump. It's beyond everything that's going on. This is beyond Agenda 21. This is beyond the Great Reset. This is beyond. Because if this happens, you can kiss all of that goodbye anyway, because your ass is going to be kissed goodbye. Okay? So pay attention. One could only think of very few other strategies to achieve the same level of efficiency in turning a relatively harmless. Now let me tell you, I had COVID. My husband had COVID. We went through it with hardly any issue. Lost taste, smell, food sucked, okay? But maybe 2 or 3 days. He had a cough. Maybe it had something to do with it. Maybe it didn't, all right? Many people have gone through it, okay? So in turning a relatively harmless virus into a bioweapon of mass destruction, he is talking about humanity. He is talking about the human species on the globe, every man, woman, and child. We're risking creating, quote, unquote, uncontrollable monster. Again, We're risking creating a global, uncontrollable monster, quote unquote. Dr. Bossche believes that vaccinologists, clinicians, and scientists are only focusing on short-term results at the individual level and not the consequences at the global population level, which he believes will soon become evident. Evident in the form of having transformed, quote, a quite harmless virus into an uncontrollable monster, end quote. His concern rests on immune escape, quote unquote. For those needing a quick introduction to the topic, you can go deeper by looking up immune escape. I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to break it down for you. So don't get hung up on immune escape, okay? I will break it down. For those needing a sweeping overview, you can go deeper into, you can watch Ivor Cummings' interview. I can put that down on the bottom. The most important thing is that many physicians, right, need to be watching, need to be studying, because what they're doing is they're saying, go out and get and they don't know shit about it. Because the people that do know something about it and they're trying to get people to realize that is going to cause more issues than it's going to solve and potentially destroy immune systems are being censored, right? You already know that the government and Ask Big Tech, coupled with us, to start taking people that are not giving the party line, right? We want people that are not going to discourage people from getting However, you need to know that in the United States, because I don't know where you are, in the United States, since 1986, there has been a bill that has made makers immune to lawsuit for death and injury. Immune. But outside of the United States, I should say there's a little pool of money that is available for lawsuits. However, the people that decide how much you should get are the people that are supporting the companies that are doing okay? A little bit conflict of interest, right? And the most that you're worth is $250,000 in this situation. And of those $250,000, first of all, you have to use up all your insurance. And then if you want to bring a lawsuit, you've got to pay for your lawyers and all the expert witnesses, and you take that off the $250,000. That's how much they think you're worth. Okay, but in Europe, where either they're just more lawsuit, concerned and don't care about people more, or they may care about people more. I don't know at this point. I don't trust anything at this point from what I'm seeing from the globalists and what's going on. Pfizer actually demanded from some of the European countries that it put up for collateral their embassies and their military assets, because they want to be able to have that in place preemptively, because they know that they're going to be sued for death and injury. That tells you something, doesn't it? Okay? AstraZeneca has been halted in certain European countries. And in Africa and India, if I'm not mistaken, they've ruled out getting at all. Okay? At all. So, okay, here we go. I'm selling in New Jersey, moving to New York, and then wondering, do I need to move to India? Do I need to move to Tanzania, where there seems to be some sanity? Do I need to, I don't know. I'm beyond at this point. Anyway, okay. So, getting back to what he states. Bossche states that the multiple emerging, much more infectious viral variants are already examples of immune escape. Now, these are his statements, so pay attention. They are already, now we have like what, 4 variants, I think? They are already examples of immune escape from our innate immunity. So we have the ability, God-given ability inside us to have antibodies that roam around generally like that and say, yeah, you're no good, gonna fight it, and it keeps us healthy, right? Okay, it's not specific, it's general innate immunity, okay? So Bossche states that the multiple emerging, much more infectious, listen to that, much more infectious viral variants are already examples of immune escape from our quote-unquote innate immunity, and were most likely created by the government interventions themselves. The government interventions themselves, i.e. the lockdowns and cloth facial coverings. Just listen to that. The lockdowns and the masks. Unofficially, but also more aptly known as non-scientific interventions. Now, let me tell you what Geert said about the lockdowns. He said the lockdowns and the masking was absolutely the worst thing that we could have done. It lowered our immunity by keeping us away. And of course, people weren't allowed outside, so they didn't get the sun. And the sun has vitamin D, and we already know how amazing vitamin D is. Plus, in the beginning, when the CDC was dropped by Trump, and he actually had somebody scientifically test the virus, it died in the sun within minutes. That tells you something. And they didn't want you in the sun. They didn't want you outside. They fear-mongered you until you were terrorized to go outside. You were terrorized of people. People actually called each other into the police because there was a play date. Unbelievable. It was the closest to Nazi Germany that I've seen. And that's my background. I'm a first-generation Holocaust survivor. My mom ran from the Nazis. So I know that I got those antennas. It came very early in all of this for me. I was like, something else is going on here. While everybody was like, oh, it's a virus, it's a virus, it's a virus. Something else. And I was right, it's all unfolding. But in a mass execution, it puts the showers to shame. It just puts them to shame. Okay, so ongoing mass vaccination. Okay, so what he said was, by us doing the lockdowns and the masks for all you maskers and the masks, okay, you did not create natural herd immunity. We didn't get a chance to be with each other. Now, I went against that. I didn't wear a mask until I had to go in for my gun permit. That's the first time I wore a mask, but I even cut holes in it. I can't breathe in those things. I hate them. And actually, when I finally did do it for home goods, I got sick. Okay? You're not supposed to be breathing in your own germs. Okay? So, they prevented us from being with each other, sharing germs, and getting stronger. He said that it actually makes people stronger. Their immune system gets stronger by being around other germs because it educates the body. That's natural herd immunity. What they want now is for you to believe that herd immunity is pharmacological. So the new definition of herd immunity now has to do with vaccination, right? It's vaccination that will then create the herd immunity. So, he calls them non-scientific interventions because he said that they had no scientific background. It was actually the exact opposite. But was anybody listening to him? No. No. Do they want you to know? No. Well, I do. I want you to know because I care about you and I care about your children. I'm getting older. I don't have that many years ago. I want the generations after me to have a planet that's beautiful where they live free. That's what I work for. Every day, I care about you. I want you to know this information, and I want you to share it with others. He believes that ongoing mass vaccination deployments are highly likely to further enhance adaptive immune escape, as none of the current vaccines will prevent replication/transmission of viral variants. So let me explain that. Fauci has already acknowledged that they can't assure that the vaccinations will stop transmission, which is why they continue to say you should keep wearing the mask. You should keep social distancing after vaccination. Okay? There are people that already started speaking about that in Europe, leader in Europe that talked about that. I couldn't understand what he was saying, but now I understand. And of course, there's no way that they can assure there isn't replication of variants. Now, how does the variant work? Well, if you have, I want you to imagine that you have a virus. Wow, I was holding that so long. I'm like, I can't close my hand. You have a virus that's this shape, okay? It's in this shape. And what they've done is they created a spike protein. Now, it's the spike protein that is creating all the issues. So what these mRNA vaccines do is the mRNA is like a messenger. It holds a recipe, okay? It holds a bunch of instructions. Your genes inside your cell are like a factory, okay? And what happens is that the messenger RNA, which works holding these instructions, gets sent into the cell and tells the factory what to create. So your gene system, right, which makes proteins, and it just does exactly what it's told to do. It doesn't have its own mind. It is not the brain of the cell, like people have been lied to for decades. The brain of the cell actually is the outside membrane of the cell. Remember, membrane. It's the outside of the cell. So the inside of your cell holds a factory. That factory can actually be taken out and the cell will still exist. And that lets you know that it's not needed for life. So this factory is in the cell, right? It gets the information from the messenger RNA. It's a messenger. I have a message for you. Here's what it says. Make this kind of protein, right? It makes the protein that is against that spike protein. So I'm going to use this shape again. So now the spike protein is shaped like this, right? And then it's going to make an antibody, right? A fighter, a soldier cell that is specifically for this shape. Okay? You got it? There's a soldier specifically for this shape. Now, you have your own soldiers. But your own soldiers are not specifically for this shape. They're also for this and this and this. You know what I mean? All different shapes, right? All different viruses and microbes and funguses and whatever, bacteria, okay? Now, this new antibody is going to be a super antibody. It's going to be a super soldier, like the hero movies that you've seen, right? where they've injected like Captain America, right? So they make a Captain America kind of soldier, but you can't vanquish it, right? You can't vanquish it. It's going to push all the soldiers out of the way. So all of your natural soldiers get pushed out of the way. Here we are. Here's the one that's going to fight it, right? Well, that's great if it's this shape, but under pressure, and as crazy as this sounds, I used to live in apartments, and most apartment dwellers know roaches, right? So I used to feel really guilty about killing roaches. But anyway, when I killed a roach, I would notice that it was giving birth. I was like, did you just give birth? It would create a packet of eggs, of little roaches. That's what's going to survive after all this, is the roaches. I don't say that in a funny way, but they're astounding. Okay, so the roaches do that. Well, guess what else does that? Bacteria does that. Bacteria, when it's being attacked by an antibiotic, goes, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I have to give the information to the next generation, to my children. I have to help my children survive, because everything wants to survive. Viruses and bacteria and microbes and funguses. Everything is innately wanting to survive. That is the one thing that is true for absolutely everything that's sentient. Everything that wants, that is alive, wants to survive. Okay, from plants, animals, people, microbes, viruses, all that. Okay, so when the bacteria is under pressure that it's about to die, it gives the next generation the information in a packet called the plasmid. And the plasmid has the information on how to get around that antibiotic. This is how you do it. So the next generation then can do it. And that's why all of the antibiotics changed, and they're called first generation, second generation, third generation, right? Well, you get to a certain point where you get a superbug. And the superbug has no way to kill it. Case in point, MRSA, MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. The terror of all nurses when I was in the hospital. The terror was MRSA for young and for very old, because you can't kill it. The only thing that will kill it is silver. Let's talk about silver for a second. Why does silver do the work it does and then not create resistance? And that is because it is so primitive. There is nothing more primitive. When the bacteria fly around a ionic silver particle, the silver particle sucks its insides out. You can't go through. How are you going to get around that? How are you going to get around that? It's primitive, it's primal, it's violent. I love silver. Okay? For that reason, it doesn't create resistance. The best silver, I consider, is something I can share with you another time, because I don't want to get pulled off because I said something about a product. Anyway, so that's how that works, okay? So I want you to realize now that this is the same situation for a virus. So when the virus feels like it's under threat of being killed, it will try to jump to another human host. It must stay alive. If it kills the host, it dies. So it must find a human host. So the virus then replicates, but then gives the intelligence to the next generation. So then you end up with a more infectious, stronger, more intelligent virus, right? So while your general antibodies are seeing this spike protein, which apparently I did, right? Which normally would say, no, it's not okay. and crushes it and gets rid of it, and then another, and not another soldier, but I would say a cleanup crew comes in. Once the soldier is finished fighting and the dead bodies are there, the cleanup crew comes in. That's another kind of fighter cell, and says, okay, we're done, that's good, go home, go on break, go on recess, go to a bar, hang out, whatever. I'm going to clean up this mess, right? So don't worry about it, okay? And cleans up the mess. Now, all that fighting creates an inflammation. That inflammation is part of the reason for all of the virus effects on clotting, on the heart, on the lungs, and so on, the immune system. It goes into a inflammatory crisis, and that's called a cytokine storm, okay? Now, in your body, if you have innate soldiers that are doing their thing and nobody's blocking them, kills it, the other guy comes in, cleanup crew, everything's good, and you get over it, right? But if you got what ends up happening, or anybody you know is thinking of, what ends up happening is that the specificity of this super soldier, right, to this virus, this spike protein, right, that power of this super soldier knocks the general one out of the way. While the virus is going, holy shit, I need to make more really fast, and I need to make them very intelligent. That's creating the variants, right? If a variant is there, then that super soldier is not a fit for the variant. You get what I'm saying? So if you have a shape like this, and the super soldier is meant for this, but now you've created this, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? This is going to escape. This is what's going to live. And because it's pushing the other soldier away, that soldier can't get a hold of it. Your innate ability to take care of this, your God-given innate ability to take care of this, it can't get a hold of it. And so you've got another variant. And then another variant. And then another variant. Now we have 4, maybe you have 5. I don't know how many we have at this point. So that's one huge thing, right? In those continual variants, things are getting more and more infectious, right? So we're going to go back to him now. Okay. He believes that ongoing mass vaccination, and you may have to hear this in sections. I know everybody likes these 10-minute bits, but this is too important. Ongoing mass vaccination deployments are highly likely to further enhance adaptive. Now, when I say adaptive, meaning it creates conditions that are able to adapt themselves to the new situation in the cells so that they're not affected. Like when you adapt, like when you go into a new environment and you adapt yourself to the environment, right? And it no longer bothers you. It's the exact same idea. All right? Highly likely to further enhance adaptive immune escape, as none of the current vaccines will prevent replication/transmission of viral variants. That's also an excuse to give you another, because after all, what Gates wants to do is he wants to do it yearly, just like the flu, right? And we already know that the flu has created a lot of damage. I know personally people paralyzed or lung issues when they never had them before. As such, the more we use these vaccines for immunizing people in the midst of a pandemic, mind you, he's not saying that you shouldn't do vaccination. He's a pro-vaxxer. He likes vaccines. It's not about that. He said it's the situation, right? As such, the more we use these vaccines for immunizing people in the midst of a pandemic, the more infectious the virus will become. And with increasing infectiousness comes an increased likelihood of viral resistance to the vaccines. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about it. He claims his beliefs are basic principles taught in a student's first vaccinology class. Quote, one shouldn't use a prophylactic vaccine in populations exposed to high infectious pressure. High infectious pressure means that the virus is rampant in the environment. It's everywhere, which is now certainly the case as multiple highly infectious variants are currently circulating. People stand to lose their natural, innate immunity as a consequence of the meddling. His real worry, though, as he puts it, is beyond worried. And he's a very calm guy. If you see a video, which I strongly suggest, get his, look for his interview and stuff. He's very calm. Not like me. I'm very passionate and I'm not calm. This is not okay with me. Beyond worried. He is beyond worried. Okay? His real worry, though, or as he puts it, he is beyond worried, is that the humankind may severely damage its own natural innate immunity. Think about that. Because of the mass deployment of vaccination programs at this critical juncture, our innate immunity would be lost. A rich, variant, non-specific, as I told you, the soldiers that are kind of general, form of natural, and I will say God-given immunity. If you have a problem with the word God, put in nature, put in source, put in divine, I don't care. It would also mean that vaccine-mediated protection would be lost. So think about that. Look what is going on in our society. Vaccine passports, vaccine pressure. Now Fauci is saying that Trump should pressure the Trump supporters to get vaccinated. And it may turn out that all of this ends up not even working at the end. Not even working. And he's pro-vax. And I say that again. He's pro-vax. Okay? So if you're vaccinated against this shape, but now the variant is like this, like this, like this, like this, and I certainly want one that does that. I just had to. You got to break it up sometimes. You won't have it, right? Because it keeps going for this, which means they have to do another and another and another, this shape and this shape and this shape and this shape. Okay. Here's what he wrote. I am beyond worried about the disastrous impact this would have on our human race. This is a man that is an expert. Not only would people lose vaccine-mediated protection, but also their precious, variant, non-specific innate immunity, and he has an exclamation point, will be gone. This is because vaccinal antibodies, those are the soldiers, outcompete the super soldier. Remember I told you about that. Natural antibodies for binding to COVID-19. Even when their affinity for the viral variant is relatively low. In other words, they're not the right shape, but they're going to push away natural soldiers. They're going to push away the soldiers that were taught to look at the generality of everything and be able to know what's you and what's not you. Okay? That's your innate immunity. Innate immunity goes, that's me, that's not me. Right? Autoimmune is, I think that's me. I'm not really sure if that's me, but I think it's me. No, it's not me. It's not me. I'm going to attack it. Autoimmunity means that it doesn't know whether it's you or not you, and it sees it as the enemy and attacks it. That's autoimmune disease. Auto meaning self. immune disease, right? Okay. People with autoimmune disease, if you're getting the, or you're thinking about getting the, think 17,000 times, please, 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 please. I'm going to say it again. I am beyond worried about the disastrous impact this would have on our human race. He has it in quotes. Not only would people lose vaccine-mediated protection, but also their precious variant, non-specific innate immunity will be gone. This is because vaccinal antibodies outcompete natural antibodies for binding to COVID-19, even when their affinity for the viral variant is relatively low. I've alerted all responsible health and regulatory authorities, including the World Health Organization, CDC, FDA, etc., and have asked to consider my concern and to immediately open the discussion about the disastrous consequences any further immune escape of COVID-19 would have. Look at just what one escape did from a lab, if we're going to believe that story, right? And even if we don't believe that story, which is probably a bunch of bullshit, right? Even if somebody released it, it doesn't matter. It's a variant, right? It's a variant of what was a cold virus, right? And what they did, what Fauci and Obama did, is they wanted to see how infectious and deadly they could make the cold virus. So they took the coronavirus, they manipulated it, scientists got really nervous that it might escape, and then they ferreted out to someplace in China, which is probably Wuhan lab, okay? So when we blame China, maybe. When China blames us, maybe, right? Okay? Because 3.7 million, I think, if I'm not mistaken, went to continue that research. It's called gain function studies, meaning how deadly can we make it? Again, back to Bossche. I know, of course, that current mass vaccination campaigns enjoy vigorous and worldwide support from a multitude of different parties / stakeholders. Stakeholders, think about that. However, unless I am proven wrong, this cannot be an excuse for ignoring that mankind may currently be transforming a quite harmless virus into an uncontrollable monster. I've never been that serious about a statement I made. I'm going to read it again. I know, of course, that current mass vaccination campaigns enjoy vigorous and worldwide support from a multitude of different parties / stakeholders. However, unless I am proven wrong, this cannot be an excuse for ignoring that mankind may currently be transforming. It's not mankind that's transforming. It's the people that are pushing this agenda that are transforming. Humanity wants to have peace. Humanity wants to love. Humanity wants to walk in free air and be able to enjoy freedom that is God-given. It's not mankind. I differ with him. That mankind may currently be transforming a quite harmless virus into an uncontrollable monster. I've never been that serious about a statement I made. So, then he wrote a 21-page letter, which can be found online. And I will actually put that on my notes. Prayers that this isn't taken down. Prayers that this isn't taken down, but at least I have it. So I can put it up on BitChute or Rumble, or if any of you guys want me to put it up anywhere, just let me know. If you want me to send it to you, let me know. If you want to connect with me, you know, you can reach out on Facebook and find me there. You could look at my website if you want also. and reach out about that. Okay, so I'm going to read now. This is a very important thing. This is the open letter to the World Health Organization. Immediately halt all COVID-19 mass vaccination. Geert Vanden Bossche, independent virologist and vaccine expert, formerly employed at Gavi and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. To all authorities, scientists, and experts around the world to whom this concerns the entire world population. I am all but an anti-vaxxer. As a scientist, I do not usually appeal to any platform of this kind to make a stand on vaccine-related topics. As a dedicated virologist and vaccine expert, I only make an exception when health authorities allow vaccines to be administered in ways that threaten public health, most certainly when scientific evidence is being ignored. The present extremely critical situation forces me to spread this emergency call. As the unprecedented extent of human intervention in the COVID-19 pandemic is now at risk of resulting in a global catastrophe without equal. This call cannot sound loudly and strongly enough. As stated, I am not against vaccination. On the contrary, I can assure you that each of the current vaccines has been designed, developed, and manufactured by brilliant and competent scientists. However, this type of prophylactic vaccines are completely inappropriate and even highly dangerous when used in mass vaccination campaigns during a viral pandemic. Vaccinologists, scientists, and clinicians are blinded by the positive short-term effects in individual patents, but don't seem to bother about the disastrous consequences for global health. Unless I am scientifically proven wrong, it is difficult to understand how current human interventions will prevent circulating variants from turning into a wild monster. Racing against the clock, I am completing my scientific manuscript, the publication of which is unfortunately likely to come too late, given the ever-increasing threat from rapidly spreading, highly infectious variants. This is why I decided to already post a summary of my findings as well as my keynote speech at the recent vaccine summit in Ohio on LinkedIn. So if you have LinkedIn, you can look him up. Last Monday, I provided international health organizations, including the WHO, with my analysis of the current pandemic as based on scientifically informed insights in the immune biology of COVID-19. Given the level of emergency, I urge them to consider my concerns and to initiate a debate on the detrimental consequences of further viral immune escape, quote unquote. For those who are no experts in this field, I am attaching below a more accessible and comprehensible version of the science behind this insidious phenomenon. While there is no time to spare, I have not received any feedback thus far. Experts and politicians have remained silent. While obviously still eager to talk about relaxing infection prevention rules and springtime freedom, my statements are based on nothing else but science. They shall only be contradicted by science. This man is pure science. There is no one else involved in this vaccine rollout. These are companies that make profits, right? Gates himself has said he's made tremendous profits, astounding profits off of this pandemic because he's, got Asperger's, autistic Asperger thing. So he just tells the truth. He tells facts. He doesn't get emotional about stuff. People are going to die. It's all right. 700,000 are going to die from side effects if the whole globe is vaccinated, is exactly what he said. He said it very, very calmly. In this agonizing, I'm going to go back. Unfortunately, it remains untouched by those who have the power to act. How long can one ignore the problem when there is at present massive evidence that viral immune escape is now threatening humanity. It's already happening. We can hardly say we didn't know or we were not warned. In this agonizing, these are his words. This is a scientist who's very calm. He's very calm. He's very cerebral. This is how he's talking, folks. You need to hear that. In this agonizing letter, I put all of my reputation and credibility at stake. All of my reputation and credibility at stake in this agonizing letter. These are his words. I expect from you, guardians of mankind, at least the same. It is of utmost urgency. Do open the debate. By all means, turn the tide. He thinks there's still time. But this much. The window is closing, and he is terrified because he knows epidemics. The key question is, why does nobody seem to bother about viral immune escape? Let me try to explain this by means of a more easily understood phenomena. Antimicrobial resistance, which I just shared before. One can easily extrapolate this scourge to resistance to our self-made antiviral antibiotics. Indeed, antibodies produced by our own immune system can be considered self-made antiviral antibiotics because you have a brilliant mechanism inside you that knows exactly what to do. Regardless of whether they are part of our innate immune system, so-called natural antibiotics, or elicited in response to specific pathogens, resulting in so-called acquired. And so you can have soldiers that are already there, but then you can have a measles, and then there's a soldier that gets created just for the measles. That's acquired. Natural antibodies are not germ-specific, whereas acquired antibodies are specifically directed at the invading pathogen. At birth, our innate immune system is unexperienced but well established. It protects us from a multitude of pathogens, thereby preventing these pathogens from causing disease. As the innate immune system cannot remember the pathogens it encountered, innate immunity has no so-called immunological memory. We can only continue to rely on it provided we keep it trained well enough. And guess where we're not training it? In this situation, right? Because we were pulled away from each other. But you know what I did? I kept hugging. I didn't have a mask on. Take your mask off and go hug people. Hug them, not only because it strengthens you emotionally, because it opens up your heart chakra, which governs your heart, which governs internally the mechanism that stimulates your immune system. I'm talking energetically and physiologically, both as an energetic healer and a nurse, okay? Both of them. And put out chemicals in your body that make you feel better, but they also share germs, get you stronger. And what a lovely way to share germs, by hugging. Okay, so training is achieved by regular exposure to a myriad of environmental agents, including pathogens. Well, pathogen, needless to say, pathos means suffering, so pathogen is something that creates suffering, so it's a microbe of some sort. However, as we age, we will increasingly face situations where our innate immunity, often called the first line of immune defense, is not strong enough to halt the pathogen at the portal of entry, mostly mucosal barriers like respiratory and intestinal. When this happens, the immune system has to rely on more specialized effectors of our immune system, and he's talking about antigen-specific antibodies and T cells to fight the pathogen. So as we grow up, we increasingly mount pathogen-specific immunity, including highly specific antibodies, as those have stronger affinity for the pathogen, for example, the virus, and can reach high concentrations that can quite easily outcompete our natural antibodies for binding to the pathogen virus. It is precisely this type of highly specific, high affinity antibody that current COVID-19 vaccines are inducing. They're creating the super soldier. Of course, the noble purpose of these antibodies is to protect us against COVID-19. So why then should there be a major concern using these vaccines to fight COVID-19? Well, similar to the rules applying to classic antimicrobial antibiotics, it is paramount that our self-made antiviral antibodies, meaning the ones that are inside us, are made available in sufficient concentration and are tailored at the specific features specifically for our enemy. This is why in case of bacterial disease, it is critical to not only choose the right type of antibiotic based on the results from a test, but to also take the antibiotic for long enough, even though you're feeling better. Because while you're feeling better, that antibiotic, bacteria is continuing to survive. Even though it's not giving you symptoms, it's surviving, and now it's replicating, and it's teaching the next generation, right? So you have to kill it all. But you're not surrounded by that bacteria all over society and all over the globe, right? It's only that one specific experience. You have a UTI, you have a respiratory infection, whatever it is, you take that antibiotic and you finish the course because you know that you've gotten them. That's not what's happening here, okay? You have the opportunity while the body is holding all of this to make the next generation, and that's exactly what's happening. I'm not going to go on any further because I see this goes on for pages and pages and pages. I think you understand. I'm going to leave it here. I cannot stress this enough. Please get this video out to everybody that you can. I'm praying, oh my God, I'm praying that it's going to stay up. Okay? All right. So, again, you know, this is beyond everything that they're sharing. This is beyond every political situation that's going on. This is beyond black and white, and this is beyond parties, and this is beyond, you know, the incited, you know, racism that's going on in our country and dividing, and it's all manipulated stuff. And I think people are starting to wake up and seeing how our country is being destroyed by this, I'm going to say, faux administration. However, it won't matter. It won't matter if we don't stop this from happening. All right. Anyway, I send you all love. I send you prayers for health and strength. And each one of you that is listening to this, you can be a warrior. You can do something. You can call representatives when something is wrong. You can speak up. The only way you continue to have your freedom is by using it and letting other people see so that they're encouraged, so that they're inspired. So please, please let yourself be the shining light that you were meant to be, that God made you to be, and help other people wake up and learn and share this. Okay, love you all. Speak to you again. Hopefully this will stay up.